This is the Youthful and Useful podcast by Leap Africa.
What we have as a go-to today was not the plan from the get-go. Starting out, we just wanted to build like a box that's probably of this size, right? And you put one small solar panel with one very tiny cooling unit, and that helps to deliver that cooling for farmers. So I would say like identify like real problem for real people, right? In a real world. Maybe for social entrepreneurship, maybe leave the metaverse and the vast space in terms of thinking about problem. For now, come to your street, right? Come to your community, come to your neighborhood, come to your state, come to your country. Identify that gap and say, okay, this is the problem I want to solve. And once you're able to nip down, this is the problem I want to solve. Ask yourself if you have the right skill and the experience for you to drive it, for you to take it off the ground and drive it. If you don't, it's not a problem. I also did not when I was starting out. I'll identify other people. It could be one person, it could be two people that has the complementary skill, right? That you need to take it off and sort of build on that to solve that problem.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. You're welcome once again to the Youthful and Useful podcast powered by Leap Africa. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, Leap Africa is a youth development organization giving to 5 focus areas: education, entrepreneurship, employability, active citizenship, and mental health and well-being. I encourage you to like, share, subscribe. We are talking about taking the first leap as a social entrepreneur. So if you're starting off your journey, delving into the impact space, this video is a good starter pack for you to have. Today, I'm not by myself. I'm joined by a special guest, and I'll just go ahead to read his profile, and I encourage you to listen attentively. The guest on the show with me here today is the co-founder and the CEO of EcoTutu. What EcoTutu does is accelerate access to affordable off-grid cold chain solutions for businesses. Our guest today also has actively engaged different stakeholders on climate and sustainability issues since 2014. He authored the Young Climate Heroes book that has helped 7,000 people, students particularly, to understand the basics of climate change and sustainability. Alongside this, he has co-led the recovery and recycling process of 3,000 plus metric tons of plastic through the New World Project, GSC Lagos, and Global Waters Challenge. He also co-curated the first fast-paced multilingual card game that helps players learn about sustainability in a fun way. In all of this, we see advocacy, we see learning, we see development in the area of climate change. Today, I encourage you to welcome with me none other than Babajide Oluwase.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. And for this season, we are actually focusing on social entrepreneurship. And we're speaking to those who are intending to venture into social entrepreneurship and those who are early starters in the introduction stage and perhaps to the growth stage of their businesses, just equipping them, enabling them with the adequate resources, knowledge, and skill set that they should actually have to be able to thrive in their businesses. For us at Leap Africa, we are big on sustainability. And so it's not just how well you start, but how can the impact be sustained and also outlive and outlast those who have initiated those processes. So first of all, I want to start by asking, why EcoTutu? Why climate change? What was your introduction to this line of work?
Thank you very much, Ore, for the question. I wish I could answer that question as simply as possible without having to take you back memory lane, right? The whole journey sort of started for me from as far back as when I was in secondary school, being introduced to the idea of climate change, what it's all about, and why we need to act as a people. Fast forward to my uni days, I was able to get into the community of like-minded young people that also are interested in making case and advocating for the same issue. Fast forward post-uni, we started to get past talking about the issues, right, to creating solutions that could help us advance this cause, that could help us also solve immediate problems that people are facing around and better make sense of the issue called climate change. Hopefully galvanize more people to join us on that journey. And that's how it sort of had been from getting to know about it to advocacy to telling more people about it and now to creating solutions that help solve our immediate problem. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I just want to follow up on what you have said. So, what is your biggest success story, your biggest achievement in this 5 to 7 years of your towing this line? What's the thing you would celebrate about? I mean, you wake up and you feel energized to go on. What's that achievement?
The biggest, I mean, while you started asking that question, I was sort of checking my mental library. Okay, what could the biggest thing be? I would say the biggest is having to conceive an idea and being able to see that idea transform lives and improve businesses. And that's what the journey has been to Ekotutu, right? From that first day where we took advocacy to a certain community, a farming community at that, somewhere in Ogun State, telling people this is good for the environment, this is not good for the environment, and experiencing or witnessing how smallholder farmers, how by the virtue of not having access to uh, being a preservation solution to their produce, how they are at the mercy of the middlemen as it were at the time. And then we thought, okay, we could actually find the solution to this. We're solving a social problem, we're solving an environmental problem, we're also solving an economic problem. So from that point to the first design that we had of what Ecotutu could be like, so the point we are in today where we've been able to enable over 3,000 businesses. I think that's something that is worth achieving for myself and the amazing thing that sort of worked with me on this journey.
So, what exactly is EcoTutu? I know I've read your profile, but you are the, in quotes, horse's mouth. What exactly is EcoTutu?
So I can start from sort of giving you the meaning to the name and then give a sense to what we do with EcoTutu. So
Please.
the name Eco is like the eco-friendly, environment-friendly sort of thing. Then the Tutu part is the Yoruba word for cold and chill, right? So it means that we're able to deliver cooling or cold chain using like an eco-friendly or energy,
Come on now.
environment-friendly energy source.
Come on now.
Right? And so what does the business in itself mean? So EcoSystem is a solution for businesses that typically work within the agriculture and until recently the earth value chain, right? From the point of production for food till it gets delivered at the doorstep of final customers, EcoSystem is that solution that enables that the cold chain loop is closed, right? And this is how we can maximize on the fresh food that we produce and make sure that bulk of it does not end as waste on landfills or on the streets, and that the players, be it farmers and traders playing in that space, are also able to get the maximum value they expect in that process.
Amazing. Thank you so much. EcoTutu.
And I think there's also something that is critical here.
Yeah.
Beyond beyond the cute name and beyond the technology that we also provide is the accessibility, right? You agree with me that they've been building cold room before we were born.
Absolutely.
Right? But what's different here? It's about that we're powering cooling with renewable energy source, which to a large extent is solar, other renewable energy sources. And more importantly is that we're enabling smaller businesses that typically can't access or afford to own their own cold room to be able to have access to this sort of solution on a pay-as-you-chill basis.
Amazing.
So imagine like a trader in the market somewhere, a farmer pays as little as 250 naira for a crate of tomatoes to store per day, right? So if you're storing 10 crates, just multiply, do the math. So you don't have to buy the cold chain system. You don't have to even understand the technology. All you want to ensure is that your produce is well preserved and that you're able to sell.
That's amazing. And that's very convenient for the kind of work that they do and how they turn around cash.
Exactly.
That's very convenient for them.
Yeah.
So how many businesses have been able to supply your solution to that I would categorize them as MSMEs or SMEs? How many businesses as such have you been able to provide solution to?
So to respond to that question, so we cater to two different customer segments.
Okay.
So there's the one we call the cooling as a service.
Okay.
Where we set up the solar-powered working cold rooms as key food points. So be it in farm clusters, in open market. So everyday trader, everyday farmer bring their produce to store, right? Okay. On the other side, we have like the mid to like maybe a bit of high-level skilled businesses in the value chain that need to own their own infrastructure. So we build and sell attractively to them as well. In all, we've been able to cater to over 3,000 of such businesses. Wow. Of course, you would know that the bulk of that customer base are those that come for cooling as a service a bit. So it's a mix of farmers, traders, and aggregators that we mostly would call middlemen.
That's
Yeah.
excellent work. That's
Yeah.
excellent work. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just as you were speaking, you mentioned something about the business being a solution.
Yeah.
And because many businesses are springing up in this day and age, whether they are for profit or not for profit, how would you speak to someone who has a desire to venture into this social entrepreneurship space in terms of if you're providing value, how do you identify a need that you can then solve and exchange that for value?
So I think the first word there is anyone that is thinking of getting into the social entrepreneurship ring should first get into it for the right reasons, right? I mean, this is why, and part of determining what the right reason would be is in identifying a gap that you want to fill. Not getting into social entrepreneurship because, okay, some guys seems to be building some cool stuff and
I want
raising
to
some
build
cool
to,
money here and
yeah.
there, or they're traveling the world, or they are getting recognized on stages that you would also want to get
That's not the
into.
right motive.
Right. So the right reason first is determining a problem, a gap, like around you. In my own story, the old journey, like I said, started from advocacy to, I mean, I've done a business, of course, still in the social entrepreneurship realm before Ecotutu,
Wow.
right? But from trying to solve a problem, you're able to also learn quickly, which was my case. To can I scale this? Does this look like what I really want to commit myself to in the long run? I couldn't convincingly give like answers to that for myself, and I need to pivot, right? And I stumbled on the problem. The problem of seeing like rotten tomatoes on drainages or on the streets is something that many of us grew up seeing. So it's not new, right?
Yeah.
But it sort of took me going through that part to see that, okay, this is actually a problem I've been seeing for a while. And there's also like an environmental dimension to it, which makes sense to me at the point. Like, okay, I'm not moving away from my environment or sustainability path while trying to create a social and solve a social and economic problem. And yes, so we got into it. Food is not something I'll get out of fashion anytime soon. No amount of technology or 5G, 10G that might create today. We still need to eat food. And so it means that the problem we're trying to solve now will not go out or like get out of fashion. Maybe how we're trying to solve it might change, but that's we need to eat, we need to produce more food. And this was how I sort of got myself on this path. Again, so to answering to your question, to whoever is thinking of getting into the social entrepreneurship ring, get into it for the right reasons, identify a very clear gap. The gap doesn't have to be something happening far away from you, something like
close to home.
very close to home, because that way, if you want to test whatever way to solve it, it's easy for you to do it within that your space, and you're also able to see whether this is of value or it's helping to move the needle.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So in starting Ecotutu, what were the first steps, critical steps that you took in starting Ecotutu?
So I would say the first critical step was that I was coming from somewhere where I tried to build a business or co-build a business, right? To give some context, so we're trying to convert agricultural waste into some form of energy at the time, right? So it's already sort of in that agriculture space. So fast forward to, okay, this is also a big problem that we think can be scaled over time, like the issue of food waste or insecurity. What was the first set of thing I did was to identify, okay, what are my strengths? If this is a new thing that we're looking at embarking on now, do I have the skill to be able to make this happen? No, I don't have the skill to make it fully happen. So I need to get someone or some persons that have the complementary skill to buy into the idea and join me on that mission. And that was what I did, right? It was during the National Youth Service Corps program, right? So I mean, you're in the midst of like young people like myself, and I was able to sort of just bounce idea. I mean, it's something I like to do a lot. If I have any idea, I don't keep it to myself. I just talk about it. Oh, there's this thing. I probably say I'm trying to do something about it, right? But somehow, someone else caught the bug. I'm like, okay, this looks like something I've tried to research about at some point. And that's how I was able to get my first team member on board. So he's a mechanical engineer by training. He's also very much passionate about renewable energy. Everything just sort of aligned, right? And so we started by understanding what's the problem. We're doing this.
Permit me to interrupt. I want to know. I would not ask the acceptance rate now.
Okay.
When you shared this or when you shared it to people, because I know you must have shared with different people. NYC is there are a lot of thousands of young people. But what was the rejection rate like? How many people of the idea when you were about to start that you told and they're like, I cannot relate to what you're saying? What was that like?
To be honest, it's not like I shared the idea with a lot of people.
Okay.
Or I wouldn't say it didn't really start from the idea point. It started from the gap, the problem. I'm like, okay, there's something that should be done here.
Okay.
There seems to be a problem, of course, and an opportunity. And yes, so I didn't have to, I can't remember how many people I shared it with now, but I'm not sure there was someone that I shared it with that has the skill to contribute that said no.
Okay.
Again, there's a background to that. The
Okay.
background to that was that I think I was at that level, I was somewhat positioned for, okay, whatever Babajide wants to do,
Right.
and that I think I have something to contribute, I think I want to jump on it.
Right.
Because
Okay.
they had published
Got
the
it.
Young Climate Heroes book,
Got it.
maybe
So
a bit
the
of
credibility was there.
a bit of recognitions already springing up here and there. So it's all like, okay, I mean, this guy, I want to, whatever he's doing,
Serious about it.
I want to just work with this guy and let's see what we can get. So there was that. And again, I can't remember how many people I shared it with, but rejection in terms of saying, no, I don't want to do this with you, I'm not sure I got that.
So did you experience any challenges when you were starting? Any self-doubts, challenges, hiccups, whatsoever?
Of course, there are a lot of like arrays of challenges. I would start from, so by the time we're done with NYSC, I mean, you face the reality of life. Like with graduates, you go and get job now and start building your life. So I took a job.
Okay.
I mean, I had a job waiting for me before I was done with service, right? So I was conflicted between, should I go take this job now or should I just still pursue this conviction that I have? I mean, let's see where it goes. But it seemed like the job came more far rushing than I expected. And I felt like, okay, let me just take this so that at least I have something coming in. My partner at the time, the mechanical engineer I talked about, he was even more sold on the idea, right? And was ready to like get more hands-on on it. So he didn't pick a job. Wow. Right. And so I said, okay, you know what, if that's the case, so you could be on this for the most part while I go get a job, then whatever I'm earning, we could find a way to split a part of this. I could give you part of it as an allowance at the end of the month. I know it might not be able to take care of your needs, but at least there's just something to get you going. So we're able to have that sort of alignment. And it shows how much you believe in the idea at the time, having to make that sort of sacrifice. And so fast forward, there was the issue of money. Because I mean, what I was earning, what I was paying wasn't helping them much. There was pressure on him from home as well.
Get something
like, young man, what are you doing with your life? This thing you say you're building is good, but what's up? I mean,
interesting.
What's going on? At some point, he said, we've gotten a job for you at home. Because he came from the east, right? Came down south to serve. But like, okay, we've gotten like a civil servant job. I said, no, that's not the life I've chosen to live. Right. So there was a challenge of funding and yes, of that doubt of, does this thing, is it really the thing I want to like dedicate ourselves on? We don't have a lifeline. Along the line, we got a lifeline somehow from the Tony Rimelu Foundation. So we got the Tony Rimelu grants. That helped me resign my job.
So as soon as you got that grant, you resigned?
Not as soon as I did.
It took a while.
So it took some months.
So I want to ask, let's backtrack a bit. Okay. So before you got the fund, what were you surviving on? At that time, you had done some activities for Equitutu, right? So
yeah, we're building like prototypes at the back end.
Okay.
We were interacting with some markets, so also get feedback and see whether what we're building, whether it makes sense. Again, what we have as Equitutu today was not the plan from the get-go. Starting out, we just wanted to build like a box that's probably of this size, right? And you put one small solar panel with one very tiny cooling unit, and that helps to deliver that cooling for farmers, right? So we're looking at something that between $100 that we can sell, right? Okay. But as we also interact with the market, we're able to face the reality of things that the guys that we're targeting might not be the customers, right? And for those that are the customers, if we really want to move the needle for them, then we need to think something bigger. And that's how that sort of change from the initial idea that we have, how we sort of had it figured out to what it has sort of morphed into today.
So how did you finance the activities? I'm sure ideation, you were delivering some prototypes, and how did you finance those activities up until the time you then got the TF fund?
Okay, yeah, I mean, like I said, my salary.
Wow.
Right. So what I earned, so I was able to like fund some of the little activities that we're doing at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, that was essentially how we were funding that. So TEF was like that leap for us, right, in terms of financing. Like, I mean, I think then it was about 1.5 million naira, right? So that was like, okay, now we can think of doing
What you
something more
truly
than the
want to
tiny
do.
boxes that we're doing to test. We
Wow.
can even go out and even interact with more people, because it was seeming like a validation at the time, like, which was a validation, like, oh, if TEF could believe in us to give us this grant, then that means they've seen something that this could actually solve a real problem. So that got us maybe a bit more confident to go even out, like outer than we've gone, to interact with more people to get feedback. Yep.
Interesting. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. So through this period, I mean, your NYC, pre NYC, post NYC, when you got to the job and when you started and collaborating with your partner, there were some skills that were critical in running, in developing, in running, in testing through those phases. For those who are thinking to start their own social enterprise, what skills would you are like maybe the top 5 must-have skills for a social entrepreneur to get into this phase?
So I think the first skill that comes to mind is being teachable, because we had the problem we want to solve in mind, so we sort of understand the problem to an extent. We throw ourselves into the ring to say we want to finance out to this. But in the course of that, because I mean, I didn't study agriculture in school,
Yeah.
right? My partner didn't study agriculture in school,
Yeah.
it's more of engineering. And so for us to really be able to understand, so there's one side of our product that we're trying to build, the other one is understanding the space or the sector that we're trying to deliver value, right? So then a lot of learning happened in that phase, like trying to understand how exactly do they move food across? Like, who are the players in this space? What have they done? Why is it so hard to make this solve this problem? What has been so a whole lot of learning and unlearning, and also trying to look at programs, right? Programs that could also help us accelerate the learning. So we subscribed to a lot of that at the time. We got selected for it. We got into, we were able to learn, we were able to talk about problems. Being teachable helped us to change a lot of things that we had in mind before. Otherwise, we'd have said, no, this is how we want to do this thing. So we're not going to change. We're going to stick to it, right? So we're able to get the learnings from those platforms, and then the ones that we subjected ourselves to improve what we're doing. That's one. The second one is being flexible, right? Because from being teachable, you've garnered the knowledge. It speaks to how flexible are you in terms of, this is the idea, right? This is how I want to solve it. But you could learn a different way to solve that problem. But because you're not flexible, you say, no, it's that small box that we envisage that wants you to solve this problem. That's what we're sticking with. That's the vision, right? And we're not changing. Being flexible got us to this point, right? Got us to thinking about cooling as a service, got us to thinking about different segments of the customers and businesses that we serve, and a whole lot of other things that we've tried to do. I'll say the third one is that you have to just believe somehow. I don't know whether you can teach this or just have to maybe follow that conviction. Follow it to a point where you know you've exhausted. Okay, I mean, I tried pushing this guy. I believed in it. I saw it. I knew what I saw. I saw that it's something big, right? Something really that if you're able to solve it, it's going to mean a lot, not just for us now, but mean a lot even for the country or for the world, right? Like making that sort of impact, right? So believing that belief, because again, when everything comes to shove and family and friends are saying, leave this thing, it doesn't make sense, right? That belief can just be something that helps you again to go again one more day, and maybe one more day, and then you probably could just hit the lock and you get it done.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Being teachable, being flexible, and believe. I want to ask before we move on to the next question, was there any point where this conviction of yours was tested?
Yes, I mean, several times. Several times it got tested, still get tested even even now, right? Because I mean, you're trying to move from one point to the next level, and you're like, okay, are we making the right move? Are we doing the right thing? But to give an example of maybe where it got tested sometime in the past, it's what we've built or what we're trying to build at the time. We launched out to interact with our potential customers in the market, and then we saw like this group of women sitting with heaps of banana, and some of them were like, part of them were already going bad. From what we saw, like about 40% of those heap of banana were already going bad. At that point, we felt like, this is a good opportunity for us to talk about what we're building to these women, get their feedback, and maybe they can even be part of our early adopters, because this is the problem sitting right in front of them. But having interacted with them for some minutes, they said, what do you want to do to the banana that is going bad? Do you want to inject them? Do you want to stop them from growing and rotting. We said, hey, we're trying to create a solution that can. They said, no. How God has created it is that you plant it, it gets to the stage where it ripes, you harvest it. If you don't consume it, it rottens over time, and then the cycle continues, right? That's how God has created it. Yes, that's how God has created it. But then there's a solution that could help you reduce that spoilage. They said, well, whatever God says they make in a season is what they make. If God says they will make a loss this season, so be it, and that they'll make profit next season, that it's fine. At that point, we ask ourselves, wait, are we in the right space? Look at the people that we thought are facing this problem, that we're trying to solve this problem for or with, and they don't even see a problem. Because if they see it as a problem, they'll say, okay, thank God, you have a solution,
yes,
and that let's move this. So at that point, we ask ourselves again, like, are you sure we are solving is this problem a problem, right? But it turns out that we're able to learn through in that process that couple of things were clear at that point. First, they don't see us as one of them. They don't see us as we understand their real problem. Right, because just this group of youngins that are coming to come and talk about what
they relate.
Right, so yeah, so they couldn't really relate with us at that point because they feel like these guys you're not in this space. That sort of reaction, like, you're not in this space. This is not your thing. So whatever you are trying to do, I beg, just let me be. I have my problems to deal with. The problem is the problem, right? But they don't see us as that we are a part of that. We understand that problem from their lens, and as a result of that, we might not be able to solve that problem in a way that makes sense to them. So this was all we got to learn along that journey.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
it takes some level of really first humility to really first say, okay, are you the problem or are they the problem? Or is there something that is unspoken that you need to really figure out? And that takes us back to you being teachable, learning, wanting to learn continuously. Then you'll be able to get the real message and humble enough to now adapt that into how you plan to
already existing model.
As away from those young guys that want to design very fancy functional box and then sell to farmers and traders and then make money. Yep.
Thank you so much. That's very interesting to learn about. So how did you go about building a team and network to support your vision? I believe that eventually you had to go past just you and your mechanical engineer partner at the time. So how did that come about?
Well, speaking about teams, so at some point my mechanical engineer guy had to move forward. Right?
Does that mean he left?
So he left,
right,
but was still there to always provide his advice. Family issues and all of those pressure came. We couldn't still pay the bill at the time, and it's very understandable, right? So you had to succumb to that and go back home and then be able to do the biddings of the parent. Deeper than just what I'm saying at the family level, but we understand, or we understood at the time. And so, but because at that point, I personally I've been convinced, and that's also the part of belief, because at the time he was living was enough for me. So, okay, the other guy that I believe in, with me on this has left. But because I still saw there's still opportunity here, there's still gap here, there's still a lot for us to do here. So I stuck with it, and other individuals also came on board. By coming on board, it's not like they just saw me and came. It also at some point required that I need to also look at and just go talk about what we're doing. Some persons find it so easy, okay, you know what, I've been following your work and I've read a lot about you and what you guys are doing. I love it. Anyhow, I can just be part of it. Please let me. So I got that, and that also was added to my conviction. Okay, I'm not the crazy one here. I'm not the only crazy one here. Other people are saying this, even from outside, and they're just excited to join me on this journey as I progress. So I had my longtime friend as well, that also saw that at that point that he has value to bring to the table. And I also put up himself, okay, hey, if you need me, I'm here. Right. So when the time came and I needed his expertise, I got him on board, who is now my co-founder. And yes, so it's sort of, at first, these guys they believe in the mission from what they've seen, what they've heard from the outside. And when they also came on board, what we're also co-building together, they still believe in it and they still believe to where we're going next.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So what strategies have you employed to ensure the sustainability of your initiative?
Sustainability strategy. First, again, being teachable, putting up myself for continuous learning. And that's where I think Leap Africa comes into the picture through the Social Innovator program. I came into the picture for specifically one reason. It's about structure, right? To learn about building structure and corporate governance for my business. I like to ideate a lot, right? Especially around issues that I so much have interest in. And so I knew myself from day one. So I'm not that guy that would want to build one business and stay on one business for 10, 20 years. Could be running the business for that long, right? Business will also run even longer than that.
Yeah.
But because I understand that from that get-go, so I knew that whoever I'm co-building with should also be able to, at some point, have the capability to be able to take up or take on the mantle from me. I could take a backseat at some point, maybe somewhere on the board, but they should also have the capability, the passion and the interest to continue building from where I stopped, right? So that's been the thinking from the get-go. And that's translated also into how we get to run our affairs as a team, right? The learning from the SIP program was also very useful in terms of how to structure that, right, in a formal way. I took the learning, I took it like all in, and that's reflected in how the team is today. Again, we've made some really strategic moves as a business that I wasn't fully at the center of it, right? Which is something I'm very proud to say. I say to the team sometimes, yes, we made this move, so some really pivotal move for us as a company, and I was either away for other assignments, and the team were able to hold it down, make it happen. And this also sort of adds to the belief that, we're building a team that has the capability and interest to get things going. So I think that sort of responds to how we're very deliberate about sustainability as a company.
Interesting. That speaks to your leadership style. Thank you so much. So I want to ask this, the practical tips you can offer to individuals planning to start a sustainable business or social enterprise in Africa. And how can they navigate the unique challenges of the African business environment?
Thank you. So again, we go back to one of the starting points. Start for the right reasons, right? Start for the right reason of, one of the ways to start for the right reason is identifying the gap. There are some problems that they call them, so either like real problems, and there are some that we just problem that we create mentally because they probably sound so cool and sexy, or sort of fill into the narrative at the time. So identifying a real problem. So I would say identify a real problem for real people, right? In a real world. Maybe for social entrepreneurship, maybe leave the metaverse and the vast space in terms of thinking about problem. For now, come to your street, right? Come to your community, come to your neighborhood, come to your state, come to your country. Identify that gap and say, okay, this is the problem I want to solve. And once you're able to nip down, this is the problem I want to solve, ask yourself if you have the right skill and experience for you to drive it, for you to take it off the ground and drive it. If you don't, it's not a problem. I also did not when I was starting out. I'll identify other people. It could be one person, it could be two people that has the complementary skill, right? That you need to take it off and sort of build on that to solve that problem. So I'm not talking about the idea first, because the idea first is to solve the problem. The idea first is to fill the gap. Bear in mind that there are 1,000, if not 1,000,001 ways to solve a problem, right? And that's where you now determine what is the idea that can help us solve this problem and solve it at scale, right? First, think and start for the right reasons. Identify a real problem affecting real people in a real world. Ask yourself if you have the skill and the experience for you to take it off the ground and build it. If you don't, it's not a problem at all. Identify one or two individuals that has the complementary skill that can help you be able to build on that, to help you pursue or solve that problem and create a solution around it. And it's okay if you try to pursue it for a while, you experiment it for a while, and it doesn't work. You can pivot,
adapt,
be flexible. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't carry the whole world problem on you. So allow yourself to be flexible. But maybe you're saying truth. This is a problem, but understand that there are 1,000,001 ways to solve that problem. Helps you also be able to think through. Okay, we try to use this cup to solve this water problem. It didn't work. Let's use bottle. Let's use drum. Let's use this. You sort of work around it that way. If you're able to get yourself in that sort of mindset, I would say you are on an exciting journey. Amazing. It's not going to be easy, for sure.
Amazing. So what advice will you then give to those who are aspiring to be social entrepreneurs about financial support and ensuring the long-term viability of their enterprise?
Financial, everyone is looking for money, Nigeria is looking for money. Even the US is looking for money. They say US has debt of trillions of dollars. We say, who is US owing money? So everyone needs money at every point in time. What do you then need to do differently? You have an idea. You're looking for money to start it. I would say first is try to even do something, move it beyond the idea, right? Try to say, okay, this is the idea, but we've been able to build
MVP.
this small thing with our own small change, right? We've been able to build this to first even check whether our thesis, whether it makes sense, right? Because you are testing your experiment, like you can experiment for as long, right? So show workings. I think that's the word. Rather beyond the idea now, show workings, no matter how small, right? No matter how intangible you think it might be, but show workings to say, this was the idea we had, and this was what we've been able to put together just to see and test whether it makes sense. Remember our journey, the story for we wanted to build a small box with very tiny solar panel and a very small cooling unit. We wanted to sell it outrightly to each farmer, something. So in fact, we had thought about the price before we even do like the actual plotting for you to do cost of production, cost of sales, all those things that you need to do on your Excel sheets to really determine an appropriate price. We had decided the price before we even beat anything. We don't want it to be more than $100 so that everyone could. But the reality showed us something different. But at the time, we're already building the very tiny, smaller box using like a polystyrene box, trying to put some wires together. We're already going to place, talking to people about it. People were like open to want to test with us, right? Then I remember we went to FUNAB, like just one of their laboratories there that they do stuff around vegetables, tomatoes. So we took it to, we were able to have an inroad to someone, say, we are building this thing. And we show pictures, we show videos. Oh, can you bring it and let's test it? We took it there, they tested for something. Oh, this makes sense. This is good. That was sort of the fuel that we need to get our minds and body and soul going, that we're actually working on the right path and we're meeting a real need at the time. And from there, you're applying for, of course, opportunities. For you to stand out and apply for, whether for funding or for access or whatever, you need to show workings, right? No matter how small. And so it's in that workings, it positions us well for Tony Lumelu grants because we've done something. We're able to say we've done this. We're able to share materials of the demo that we've built. We got that grant. We use that grant to build on what we've done bigger. We're able to bring even more people to, like, industry players in the space. We're able to bring them to come and see what we've built. They all came, they saw it, they said, oh, this is nice, this is fantastic. They shared feedback. And again, because even for us mentally, the fact that we've gotten that up and running gave us even more confidence to push more. Oh, we've done this. People are saying it. Industry players are coming to see and they're saying, good job, guys. This is what we need in this space, right? That again got us, okay, we need to now even think bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that's sort of how it's been for us around financing. I mean, I've not scratched on the surface of the money I need for where I want to go, but it sort of shows that progressive journey around financing. First, from ideation, show workings. I think if you forget anything, don't forget that. Show workings, no matter how small, show workings. From showing workings, it helps you get to the next phase.
So showing workings for someone who is still asking, what do you mean by show workings? Show workings will mean, what is your minimum viable product?
Exactly.
Put your money where your mouth is, kind of thing, so that other people can see that, okay, this person has even backed up what he's taking out or proposing to take out to the market, and he's just expecting that there is scalability opportunity for me.
Exactly. And it also means that whoever wants to support you, whether from financing standpoint or from advice, I mean there's a ton loads of advice we never go out of. Advice is always flying all around. It also sometimes helps them be able to specifically help you, right? Because now they can understand better what you're trying to do, right? Because if you don't show workings, you go explain tire, right? You don't want to explain tire, right? Sense. So from showing it, so they'll say, oh, this is what I talked about that we're trying to work on. This is what it looks like now. Like, oh, now I understand what you're trying to do. Okay, this makes sense. Have you looked at adding this, and then this will help you be able to get this well positioned for this type of funding, or for this sort of program that could help you unlock certain type of funding, right? Or even advices to help you get it, like start gradually thinking of a market fit product, right? Compared to when you're just talking about, oh, we have this idea that will help us revolutionize, and then this are compared like, this is the idea, and then we've built this prototype. Minimum viable product, as you call it, and then helps you get better positioning for funding and also get tailored advice from relevant people.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So what are the lessons you have learned from your journey that you would like to share with aspiring and early startup entrepreneurs?
So the lesson I've learned is, I think it's still sort of plug back some of the things I've talked about, like teachable, flexible, and all that. But I'll use the word being open-minded, right? So being open-minded allows you to, of course, being able. I mean, it's just like a word, one word that captures for being teachable and being flexible, right? Because it allows you first to like pour out yourself out, like, okay, this is what we're trying to do, and allow yourself be able to get feedback, right? And then from the feedback, you're able to use it to improve, iterate on what you've done, right? And knowing when to move gear, right? When to pivot, like it's all, you don't have to stay. It's not working. Move, right? So in all things, be true to yourself, right? So
I think that's one of the issues that many social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs generally
mhm,
have an issue with. There's this, I don't know where it is, but there's this thing somewhere.
mhm,
We feel like we are serving ourselves. We feel like we are serving ourselves. We are not
mhm,
open to the people that are actually going through the problems. We should be responding to those people rather
mhm.
than imagining us as the people
Yeah,
that we are serving.
yeah. So being open-minded allows you to subject yourself to those things that you talk about. Like, okay, are they receiving this? Does it make sense? Is this solving their problem? Are they ready to pay for it? If your answer is no, no to all this, I mean, it's a matter of pivoting. Maybe the approach you're trying to use is not the best approach for it at the time. So pivot and try to find what works. We're all in the journey of finding, right?
Never
Until
ends.
so
Yeah.
finding, getting knowledge, looking for better ways to improve it until you hit that lock, right? So finding, showing up, try to do this until you hit that lock. Maybe one large funding that you think you need, or one partnership that helps you now make a whole lot of difference, or whatever it is, right? But we're just in the journey of finding. So if you're in the journey of finding, being open-minded is helpful for you, even for your own mental health, right? Even for your own mental health, so that people are not clapping for you on the surface like, Ore is the guy, and the Ore is having serious headache at the back end, like,
Yeah.
this thing is not working, or we're not making as much progress, right? How will I go and say that guy that you're celebrating, on that stage, what he's trying to do is not working, right? So but being open-minded allows you to quickly pivot, switch. Okay, this is not working. Let's try something different. Let's try this. Let's try that. That's one. The other one is, please don't hesitate to ask for help. Please don't. Part of asking for help is for me, getting into programs, right? Of course, you get to that point where you're not very selective in the kind of programs that you get into. Maybe starting out, all the programs here and there we apply, right? You get to the point where you're now like, okay, this is what I need
Specific for
at this
now.
point. But I mean, that takes some level of growth
Yeah.
for you to be able to like be at that point where, okay, this is what I need. I don't need all these distractions. This is not what I need now. This is what I need. And then you pursue what you need, right? So that's one way of asking for help, right? Other ways could be, of course, reaching out to people that you think might have valuable lessons or advice, or they've been there before, to help you, or they've done something in that light. You can sort of leverage on their shoulder or their experience, for you to not make the same mistake they've made, or for you to be able to understand that what you might be going through now is it's not a you problem. It's a normal thing, maybe at the face of you are in for your business, or even it's a general thing for you as an entrepreneur. So you realizing that would go a long way, in having that focus to keep building what you're building.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So you've talked about two things inadvertently about drive. You've talked about believe. You've talked about expanding the team so that you can then delegate even to the point of decision making. What other things are important? You've also talked about thinking sustainably.
Mhm.
So what other things are important in the startup stage, the early stage of just getting that social enterprise moving? What other things are critical?
Well, I think what I've said, I like the point. um, Start for the right reason.
Okay.
I mean, it's still like a very important point. Identify a real gap. For my identify a real gap, like get a team with a complementary skill to try to drive it,
Okay.
right? Because it's in there. Okay, this was how we plan to solve this problem, but it didn't work. You can iterate and try a different approach. Try a different approach. You might keep digging different approaches until you figure one that works. Of course, while you're doing that, you're also getting on the street and getting feedback, because that's like the best lab you can get. Not just you locked up in a space and building something for a year or two, and it turns out that is not what people need, or it doesn't solve the problem that you're trying to solve. So yeah, so getting your team with a complementary skill, and trying to take a stab, right, solving the problem until you find something that at least minimally works, and they can just get started on that basis and see all of the changes. So being open-minded to along the way helps you to figure out, okay, this was how we started. This might not be how we want to scale this, right? So it helps you identify when to think differently about what you're trying to build, your solution. I think all of that sort of impact into that.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
so much. Our viewers, thank you for staying tuned thus far. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have been imparted by what you have heard, if you have been equipped, if you have learned something new. Please do well to share it also in the comment section. And as we bring this to a wrap, I would just like to ask for your final thoughts or messages to our listeners, our viewers, and those who are inspired, by your journey, looking at how far you have come. What final words, what things would you like to share with them?
Okay. So my final words will just sort of be a recap of what I've said. Guys, get into the ring for the right reason. Identify a real problem affecting real people in the real world. It could be from your street, from your community, from your neighborhood, from your country. Put together a team with a complementary skill and experience to take a stab at that problem. Be open-minded, be flexible along the way. A lot of things will change, right? Don't beat yourself if the initial idea doesn't work. Pivot, change when you need to. And more importantly, please don't hesitate to ask for help. It's not a one-man's journey. You can't do it alone, right? Even as you scale, Dangote still has people who cook. If guys, what do you think? Help me,
Right.
right? And finally, show workings, right? You need to unlock that financing, that partnership, move away from your idea to showing workings, no matter how small you think it might be. Otherwise, you go explain, tire. And I don't think that's what you want for yourself.
Thank you so much, Babajide Oluwase. There you have it, people. Thank you so much for joining us on this first episode of the Youthful and Useful Podcast 2024. We encourage you to click the notification bell so that you can get more videos like this. We'll be rolling out so many of them that will be beneficial to you and your social enterprise. Also encourage your co-workers to listen in so that they are well positioned to make the most of sustainable social enterprises. My name is Orelo Akinsoya. It's a pleasure to be your host today, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.